We're back on the Exit 52 podcast, presented as always by the Jimmy's Famous Seafood and by Black Eyed Susan Spices, who on Saturday, November 15th, are bringing back the Nevermore Hot Festival, an event that is free to attend and offers a full afternoon of spicy entertainments where you can come and sample products from over 25 spicy vendors from all over the country, including many whose sauces have appeared on the hit YouTube sensation Hot Ones. There will also be food specials, oysters, live music, a festival-exclusive hot sauce from Black Eyed Susan Spice Company, the infamous Spicy Wing Challenge hosted by Def Con Sauces, and Peabody Heights Brewery is releasing the festival-exclusive Fire Extinguisher Pilsner to go along with all their other delicious beers. All this, plus the Dugout, one of the coolest arcades around, will ensure a spicy afternoon of tears and laughs that you and your friends will not soon forget. That is all at Nevermore Hot, Saturday, November 15th, from noon to 6 p.m. at Peabody Heights Brewery in Baltimore. Follow the festival on Instagram at Nevermore Hot, and check out the website nevermorehot.com for details. Also follow Black Eyed Susan Spice Co. on Instagram and their website as well, blackeyedsusanspices.com. My name is Jake Louque. I'm joined by Spenny Playoffs, fresh off of a little phone call with a person who may or may not be working with Amazon Prime for this event. I got to catch a little bit of that conversation. How's it going, pal?
Going well. Yeah, I was chatting with Sam Schwartzstein, who does Prime Vision for Amazon Prime. And whenever the Ravens play on Thursday, we have a chat. He gives me a call. I actually have some like mutual friends with him. Super nice guy. But yeah, he wants to get some perspective. If you haven't checked out Prime Vision, it is like watching all 22 live, and it's cool. And I get some people maybe not like into that, but especially maybe during a Ravens game, but definitely give it a watch tomorrow night. At least give it a try. They do a lot of cool things. They use a lot of awesome AI. He's telling me basically the idea we came up with. He was like, look, I watched the Ravens offense. I know about the Ravens offense. I haven't watched any of their defense. What's going on? So obviously everyone's talking about Kyle Hamilton moving into the box, and that's, a sexy thing to talk about. He does, if you watch Prime Vision, he does these little spots where he cuts over the announcers. What is it? Herb Street and Al Michaels, are they?
Yeah.
Main creatures. I'm swirling with the changes still of what happened across the.
It still doesn't feel real. Like that dynamic. It really should.
Kirk is great, and Kirk sometimes speaks out of his ass a little bit because he's probably the busiest announcer in football overall. With
everything. Interesting kind of tirade against Carson Wentz on the last iteration of Thursday Night Football, and he's got the dog stuff that people really don't respond that well to. I like the dog stuff still. I'll never move off that block. But Kirk's great. Al kind of feels like he's maybe mailing it in a little bit, but like on the good flip side of that is that he just doesn't give a shit, and like he just kind of throws out fun stories and talking about the Chargers Super Bowl and how he had money on that when they played the Packers, I think it was way back in the day. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff that you can still get out of the Al Kirk dynamic.
Certainly. So if you feel that way, if you don't love that combo, definitely check out Prime Vision. They tag blitzers, and he was like, everybody knows about Kyle Hamilton, and we talked about it a little bit. He asked me a question. He said, and it was fun for me. I don't know. I feel like I haven't gotten to talk a ton of ball lately, and the Ravens have been playing poorly, so it was very refreshing. But he said, what do the Ravens want to do on defense? What are they doing? And like, what's the difference between the two? So I said, it all goes back to Nnamdi Madubuike's injury for me. I think that the Ravens wanted to be able to stop the run. I think he was a centerpiece of interior pressure, and he was the mismatch. And I think you get less double teams on Travis Jones, who still hasn't quite, broken out. But I think that structure threw the Ravens for a loop. I said, in my personal, maybe like biased analysis, subjective analysis, it felt like after Madubuike went down, the Ravens weren't creating opponent-specific game plans defensively. They let the Lions, they didn't change anything against the Lions. They just used not Madubuike. That didn't work. Rutledge got a career-defining moment that the right guard that he has launched with Penny Sewell since, and they've been running amok. And the Lions ran through the Ravens' motherfucking faces. So we talked about that a bit. And the move of Kyle Hamilton feels like it was to create chaos around the line of scrimmage because he is an apex, physical, large, athletic chaos creator against the run and in the pass game underneath. So it was interesting. And last year, obviously, I know Ravens Twitter is privy to this, but I said, hey, last year, Marcus Williams and Eddie Jackson were playing horribly, ruining the Ravens' defensive structure. So Kyle, who had been playing in the nickel, got moved back to playing full-time safety. Now it's the inverse. well, we can't stop the run. We aren't creating enough chaos. We don't have talented enough outside linebackers or interior defensive linemen. So bring the apex player, the money player, up at the line of scrimmage. So he is more physical and larger than Marlon Humphrey, who the Ravens still aren't successfully eating double teams. Like I watched probably the first 30 defensive snaps of the Bears game. Taven the Raven Bryan was getting his shit pushed in on combo blocks. He was getting moved into the linebackers' faces. If you run downhill, then you're going to be able to get something going, barring, Van Noy making a play, which he made. It's been floating around Twitter. The play he made basically like craning under tackle, flipping them with his head, and then making the tackle. Like it's requiring some spectacular effort from those that are not on the defensive line a little bit. And so we talked about that and talked a lot about the Ravens defense. And he was like, if you were producing Prime Vision and you were going to do the spots and you were going to tag players, what would you do? And I was like, well, you're going to do Hamilton because that's a hot button topic. But the Ravens have stated in press conferences, we can't get pressure. So we're going to have to figure out how to by manufacturing it. Blitzing, sim pressure, and stunts. Those are the three things you can do. Blitzing second level defenders, blitzing, whether it's sim pressure or whether it's sending 5 or 6. So we watched Ben Johnson throw screens on third down successfully 3 times. The Bears converted third downs on screens because they know there's going to be soft coverage to protect over top. And then the sim pressure stuff and the blitz, 5+ guys coming, it's going to be light on the outside. You're going to be able to get a numbers advantage and convert. So they did. And now who are they facing? The mean green South Florida screen team. Like the Dolphins do nothing but throw screens. They throw tunnel screens, or they'll throw, it'll look like a tunnel screen on one side and it comes back and it's a swing, or it's, some other variation of screen on the other side. And they run the ball to the perimeter a lot, which is how you can defeat the blitz a little bit. So I think that's a big thing of what you'll see. That's what Sam and I talked about for a long time. He gave me some other awesome facts because he has crazy AI, next-gen stats, like coordinate mapping and all kinds of awesome technology that I am so horny to get my eyes on. He said he's going to send me his run sheet. Hopefully it comes across here. I can give you guys some more info. He gave me some fun stuff on the Ravens offense that we can talk about. But, yeah, it was kind of just going through the story of the Ravens defense and where they sit. And, we're going to preview this game, but they don't have enough talent up front to have true aspirations. In my opinion, they are playing with one hand tied behind their back, and they did a damn good job of it against a explosive Bears offense while inconsistent. And now they're going to have to play a Miami team that gets rid of the ball really quickly and doesn't have that scramble element that Caleb Williams has, right? Like Caleb Williams did get outside the pocket. He did create, and Tua can't. So it's a lot different. And I'm curious about that challenge, but definitely check out Prime Vision. Sam Schwartzstein literally invented the dynamic kickoff. He is literally the person who put those rules together. So, Jake, you were saying you've converted on.
I'm officially a convert. I'm officially a part of the convent of Sam on that one. I was a skeptic. I was a non-believer, but I've been washed in the waters now after seeing it for these couple of seasons. I think it's a lot of fun. I'll throw a double endorsement behind Prime Vision. As someone who fancies myself an old school ball knower, in that I know ball, but I'm not quite up on the watching as much film as you and knowing the numbers quite as much as you and guys like Cole do. It's something that gives me much more insight to that in a package that is geared for people like me. And I think people like you, that if you're listening and you're kind of the Al Michaels telling the story about never eating a vegetable, or Kirk Herbstreit talking about his dog for the 50th time, give that a shot and see if it's for you. I quite enjoy it.
Certainly. And you get that all 22 perspective. I just find it interesting because it's showing you that who's blitzing. Like they fucking know. He was telling me the probabilities. Like there are defensive linemen who they can tag with a little red circle underneath of them that they know are blitzing dropping at least 30% of the time as a 3-tech. Like they are going to drop in certain looks at least 30% of the time, sometimes 50% of the time, and they can highlight them. And you'd be shocked.
You'll hear terms like sim pressures thrown around a lot and like not even fully realize what it means. But then like when you see somebody projected to blitz and they don't, it's like, oh, maybe that was like intentional. And like that's kind of what a sim pressure is, and getting different looks at how kind of different stunts work. I love my coffee house stunts and all that kind of just weird, crazy shit that some teams like to do. So definitely recommend.
Certainly. So we talked about that stuff. We'll talk about the offensive side. We'll talk about this game, but nice to catch up with Sam. we got 2 screens, definitely put Prime Vision on one. Give it a try. If you're sick of Al Michaels being weird, give it a try. Sam comes on with some awesome stuff. And it's just, like you said, it's a way to learn. If you want to learn, and I get not maybe wanting to do it during the game of the team that you like I watch the Manning cast when the Ravens are.
I remember watching the Manning cast a couple of years ago when the Ravens were down in New Orleans, and the Manning cast is coming out of commercial. There's all this chaos. Eli's mic isn't working, and Justin Houston just has the ball in his hands after picking it off. They totally missed that coming out of commercial. Like, I don't know what happened, but yeah, I think ever since that point, when it comes to primetime games, I typically have stuck with the traditional broadcast, but I think for this one, I'll probably switch over to the Prime Vision.
Yeah, definitely. I hate when the Manning cast has the celebrities on. I love when they have football people on, though.
Well, that's the whole thing with it.
A former player.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with it. Is it like they kind of are trying to copy like the SNL model a little bit. They literally do the SNL like promo thing for the people on the bulletin board, which is cool. Like, and they got to keep the lights on and pay the bills. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't really need like Glenn Powell plugging Chad Powers. I'd rather kind of just listen to Eli and Peyton riff a little bit, or if they, like you said, a football specific guest, like when they would have Belichick on back when he was still kind of within his right mind. That was great. But yeah, I could probably do without the celebrity stuff, and that's kind of what Prime Vision feels like. It's just a more distilled version of that. Not quite as, rootin' tootin' Peyton and Eli Southern charm entertaining, but entertaining in a different way.
Certainly. So check that out. But yeah, it was just nice to think about, like, the Ravens, I think, had their best defensive performance of the year, considering that the Bears are explosive. They were able to get out of, we have Kelly McCoy here says, Prime Vision is the future. I haven't listened to Al in 2 years. It's bad. Al's bad. Sorry, Al. He's had many good years.
Al's a legend. Like, Al's a legend. He deserves to have this golden parachute if he wants to have it. I won't begrudge him that at all. But yeah, it's just, the game is maybe passed him by a little bit. Yeah,
he is like, I mean, he's great in the, like, Detroit Pistons.
I mean, he's Vern Lundquist on 16 at the Masters. Like, and Vern deserved to have that spot for as long as he did. And that's just the way it's going
to be. I concur. Prime is a newer thing. I'm trying to turn my light on here for good luck. There we go. But ultimately, excited for this one. Excited to see how, we haven't even talked about Lamar Jackson yet. Lamar Jackson off the injury report. He will be starting tomorrow night after all of the gripe and stuff. For the people, we did not stop uploading to Spotify here. We have in the comments. We're still working.
Guys, this is on me. I really apologize for this. I am having trouble figuring this out. We did not stop uploading. It got just mysteriously taken off. So we're going to have to try to file a claim. I can't get in touch with anyone. I'm trying to figure out like our dashboard.
We should just tweet at them. We'll figure it out. But we are figuring it out as we
appreciate the patience.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for the patience. So Lamar Jackson back. The Ravens had no one on the injury report at all. Knock on the old wood for him here, but they are as healthy as they have been. They have Pat Ricard back, who was able to put that physical presence back into, and that's something that Sam and I got into. He basically said, like, hey, why do you think the Ravens are struggling so badly, or were, when other teams were spying? Like, what was it? And I said, I don't know. Do you think that they've attacked the spy? Because I don't think they've made anyone pay for spying. Like, run lead, like QB lead with an insert from Pat Ricard on the spy. That's what you can do now. You don't have a physical offensive line. He was like, I love Linderbaum. That ain't him. He's not putting somebody, through the gates of hell. He's not putting Leo Chenal through the gates of hell. Leo Chenal chewed him up in college too. But, now you get Ricard back in there. Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, get some of those guys running at those linebackers, seeing what you can do. So I think that's the answer, is to punish it. And that was giving Lamar trouble. And what Sam had said was, he was like, the things I notice are that Lamar's pressure to sack number is much higher this year than it has been the last 2 years. Yes, he's been getting sacked more when he gets pressured. He hasn't been able to quite worm out as much. Okay. I was reading a comment there and I was like, okay, all right. I appreciate that. We'll talk about that in a bit. But so the magic there, I just think, like what I said to Sam, and Jake, I know you caught it, was like, when Lamar doesn't trust the offensive line, he doesn't play consistently well. And it gets into these erratic games, and the only games they lose, it feels like, are when he gets erratic. So they've blown some leads, things like that. There's been some collapses. Like the Bills game, I wouldn't say he played erratic at all. They lost that one. So it's not every time, but I'm talking more like it looks more like 2021 and 2022, right, Jake, where they're good, they're high powered, Lamar's great. And then once he's getting pressured and it's not getting like thwarted at all, he gets a happy feet. And I don't think that's a Lamar thing. What do I say about Jared Goff? Like, hit that motherfucker in the first quarter and he wilts. Like, it's any quarterback. It is playing quarterback, and that's why it's
some quarterbacks do sort of thrive in that situation. I feel like Mahomes is as good as anyone in just a completely like collapsing. When he starts to get hit, he does get a little bitchy, but he does kind of thrive in chaos. Weirdly, I feel like Sam Darnold is the same way, especially like back at USC. He like was such a creator in those types of environments, but most of them, yeah, it's good not to get hit. So like, and I think you're right in that Lamar, it definitely stands out more. And you mentioned this to Sam, like in the body language, just kind of him getting pissed off. I think of that Lions game, you could see it a little bit. So I think you're definitely onto something.
Yeah. So that's the issue. And I think that the Ravens have had less mental lapses in pass pro. And I think that the bye week probably did them a lot of service in that. Do they have the most talented offensive line? No. I think this unit can still they still have their 5 guys, and Balele was fine. There's like some videos that go viral where like he looks like an idiot, but he still accomplished his task or executed his assignment. I still think he's misfit as hell at what they're asking him to do, and we'll see if Emory Jones eventually comes in. But Voorhees, like Cole's going nuts about Voorhees because Voorhees is giving his chest up all the time. But as long as they're getting in the way, like that is the beauty of having Josh Allen. That is the beauty of having Lamar, Patrick Mahomes, the mobile quarterback of today, especially the ones that have figured out how to be more efficient with it. Just get in the fucking way. Like, get in the guy's way, slow him down, and Lamar will save you. So at the same time, don't take that attitude to your roster construction. And I think that's why the Bills have been so good, because they don't have human sleds, really. They drafted a first-round guard in Osiris
Torrance.
Osiris Torrance. That one really broke my brain for a second. Thank you. They have the good tackles. They got a veteran center. Who's the other? McGovern maybe is the left tackle. So, or left guard, pardon me. So, like, yeah, they've tried to develop guys. It hasn't gone well, but you've got Ricard back, who is a plus. And I can talk about this as well. Mark said Spenny shouldn't have apologized for leaking just because someone did counter propaganda. You aren't a reporter. You have a right to yap. I appreciate the kind words. I didn't really apologize, and I don't really apologize for the information that I put out.
What'd you put out there? Let's set the stage.
I tweeted that someone said, like, what's going on with Ricard? And I said, I had heard from a PT that Ricard is not rushing back from injury. I should have used better language, to be honest. That's what I regret, because I did say it too bluntly. But what I said was something to the tune of, hey, he isn't coming back because he wants to see how the Ravens will do without him. And so he's not rushing back because he took a pay cut. He's mad he took a pay cut, I think is what I directly used. And the Ravens paid him $4 million in 2024. They reduced that to $3 million. I was told he doesn't feel the need to rush back, and he wants to see if they can sink or swim without him, so that, and it's not like his teammates. I don't think it's his teammates. He's not like, fuck Lamar and screw this person. It's, hey, the front office, let's see what I'm really worth then. And he did have a soft tissue injury. He was medically cleared a while ago. I know those two things are absolute fact. The thing that I heard is speculative. And I heard it from someone who also told me that Matabike's neck was a career-ending injury that Friday before the Ravens had said anything or anyone said anything. So, maybe it's not right, but it makes sense to me. And what did he do? And that's what Sam Shortstein said when I was on the phone. He's like, when Ricard comes back, I own 2 Pat Ricard jerseys. I'm a fan of his. I don't blame him. I watched what Emmitt Smith did to the Cowboys after winning them a Super Bowl. He was like, I'm not just going to play. Like, I'm not just going to be like, oh, okay. And I don't think teammates care like that. What do teammates always say? And even on podcasts, once they're retired and they don't have to pretend to the media anymore, like, it's a business, go get your bag, do what you need to do. The business side of things, the players all respect each other. Like, I'm sure not 100% of the time, but it's not like Ricard is spitting in his teammate's face. And then Ricard came back and was like, so good to be out there with my boys. I'm sure the dude loves playing football, man. He's been a human battering ram for the last decade. And I'm sure he loves it. And I'm sure he wanted to be out there. And I'm sure he was also probably pissed that he was asked to take a pay cut after being the battering ram, the one physical presence kind of on the inside that set the tone and instilled fear in his opponent. And Sam was cracking up. He was like watching TJ Edwards, who's like a second level sideline to sideline guy, have to get wiped out. He was like, it was a face melting hit that Ricard put on him, which is why we love Pat Ricard. But it's like watching that and then seeing how the Ravens were able to move the football and score. I don't think those were, without Lamar especially, I don't think those two things were, independent of each other. It's not hard to see that there's a correlation for what Pat Ricard can do on the field. So that's why he was maybe upset, because he felt like,
seems like that might be worth an extra $1 million in my estimation.
Why not? So at the same time, and maybe what I was told was, slightly misconstrued. Game of telephone always goes on, whatever. But at the end of the day, I think he felt one way or another, like, pay me more. I'm the identity. And, I'm not going to rush back from injury. It might not have been as much out of malice or anything with the front office, but it might have also been like, well, you paid me less and I'm old and I want more money. I want to play next year. I don't want to put bad tape out and I don't want my injury to get worse. So all of those things I think can be considered. Regardless, the thing I did apologize for, I don't need to say anything negative. There's no great thing about saying something that sounds negative. Do we like to bitch and moan? Yeah, that's why you guys are listening to this podcast, because we love to complain. It's cathartic. We call this Ravens therapy sometimes, especially this episode. And, I don't need to be saying anything negative. Everyone's right about that. So I agree. I can put more positivity into the world overall, but I'm a mere man, and sometimes I like to bitch and moan.
Yeah, I mean, some of the shit that I see people saying about you, I think those people could probably bring some more positivity into the world too. I think you just said something that you heard. Maybe you could have phrased
Twitter, man. It's just Twitter. It's all good.
Exactly. That's just kind of what X, the everything app, always has been and is becoming increasingly more of. So I don't know. You put something out there. We had kind of both heard it. If there's any advice I could give you,
if you want to see the sausage, like Cole, like we've been talking about it for 3 weeks, me, you, and Cole.
Yeah, and it's like you're. My one advice is that you are kind of sometimes quick to throw that stuff out there, and it's like it could get you with these sort of. That's why I'm just like kind of a little bit.
Never meet your heroes, man. That's what it is. Never meet your heroes.
Yeah, and I'm just a little bit out of that game, but listen, you have the balls to put it out there. I trust the reporting.
I don't get anything out. Like I don't. It's just stupid for me personally because I don't get anything out of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Like, there's no like real benefit to throwing it out there. So it's like it's a thing that sometimes you could maybe afford to holster a little bit more often, but it's like listen, I believe it was true, and I don't think him saying it was great to be out there refutes any of what you said or what he was potentially thinking. Great to be out there.
I don't know it for 100% fact. I know what I was told. That's all. So I don't blame a player for taking their time coming back from injury, coming off of a pay cut. I should have used better words in that regard. I like to talk about football with my friends, and if you're not my friend and you don't like to talk about football with me, that's okay too.
You know what? As a fan base, we're all rooting for the same team here, right? And we're all on Twitter, which is a toxic hellhole, and it really can be. And I think the people log into Twitter, and I'm guilty of this myself at times, in the mindset of I am here to argue. And that can turn into a situation where you are turning your guns on the people that are theoretically on your side, right? And if Twitter is going to be a place just for shit talking, just for negativity, okay, but maybe turn that negativity against Steelers fans or Bills fans or whoever it might be. Like, let's we're all trying to row in the same direction here is what I'm trying to say. So
let's all come together as friends that support the Baltimore Ravens. Sure.
Yeah.
And I'll try to be more.
And listen, there's plenty of like actually sourced stuff that is like running under bylines in the Baltimore Banner and the Baltimore Sun, which is catching a lot of flack right now. Maybe turn your guns that way, because there's plenty of catnip for you to go and get mad at there too.
I think that's why some people are mad at me. They're like, "Fuck you, Spencer. Like, you don't need to add anything right now." And I get that. That's fine. But overall, I do feel like Ricard's presence was evident. I think that $1 million, like you said, was evident. And I think if teams want to spy, you should get Mr. Patrick Ricard involved and insert him into the spy and see if he can go finish through the whistle, things like that. So all great stuff we're talking about with Sam. But this offense, it feels like, and the sacks, the negative plays, the turnovers, the fumbles, the things that have held them back, I think they went a a long way to quelling during the bye. You could see it, you could feel it, you could literally see when you're watching, like in the stadium, I could see how tightly they were gripping the football and how intentional they were. And I think it was funny because Mike Vrabel said, even Travion Henderson, who did not fumble in college, fumbled this past weekend, but he was asked to do like, hey, what do you think about your running backs right now? Like, what is your analysis or whatever the word was of your running backs? And he said, I think they're too worried about fumbling the ball. Ramondre Stevenson's fumbled a bunch of times, but he was like, I think they're too worried about it. Like, if you play the game to not fumble the ball all the time, then you're leaving yards on, you're leaving wins on. There's time for ball security to be the number one priority. Like, it's always a priority, but it's also, let's move the football down the field and put it in the end zone. So I was glad to see the Ravens keep things calm. Huntley did, I talked about on the instant analysis in the first drive, hold the ball like, hot soup. And that wasn't fun to watch, but I want to see the clean play continue against this Miami team on a short week. The injuries, you're without two defensive linemen still, but you're out without them for good. Like, they're in the past. So injuries aren't an excuse anymore. You still have a lot of talent. And how do the Ravens lose this game? To, I guess, talk about the offensive side of the ball, it's fumbling. Like, throwing an interception is fine, man. Like, it really is. Lamar has been so interception averse and turnover worthy play averse through the air. It's fine, man. Throw a pick, you're fine. Have a game where you throw 3 picks. Like, I'm not going to kill Lamar for that because he has been so sharp keeping the ball out of danger through the air for so long over the last couple of years now, especially as opposed to some of these other, top quarterbacks. And it just comes down to fumbles, and I'm just going to keep thinking about it and talking about it and waiting for it to happen and hoping that it doesn't, because it's been so stupid this year. And that's, like, in my opinion, why you were 1-5. And why did you not lose this game? I mean, the Ravens forced 2 fumbles. They didn't recover either of them, but they punched the ball out twice and they didn't lose the ball. They didn't put the ball on the ground. And I simply think, like, maybe I'm getting high off my own farts here, but I think you're 7-5 if you don't fumble the ball for the next month. Seriously. I think it's that simple.
Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned some of that energy that you saw from Ricard returning to the lineup in the last game. And I think having that carry over on the offensive side of the ball would be great. For me, what really stood out in that game was that. And also on the other side of the ball, it felt the same way. Roquan Smith flying around. That tackle that he made on the running back coming out of the backfield, I forget which one, that set him up into like a 3rd and 12, I think. I think about Hamilton coming downhill on that blitz and essentially getting the sack on Williams. It just felt like they were flying to the ball. Everyone knew where they were supposed to be. Everyone made their tackles, which is just such an issue. You go all the way back to that week 1 game when Roquan missed that tackle on, I think it was Cook coming out of the backfield. If that play that he made this week on the running back running out for a route, it felt like him kind of making up for that. And I know it was against his former team and probably a lot of energy and emotion and his first game back in the lineup there. Well, guess what? We're only 4 days out. I want them to keep that same energy here in this game, where you're probably going to have Achane being a part of the game plan coming out of the backfield like that. You're going to have to get to your spots and you're going to have to make your tackles. And it all sounds simple, but it's just something that we weren't seeing them execute on, simple as it was throughout the course of the season. So I'd like to see that attitude continue. I think the addition of Gilman, allowing Hamilton to be that physical presence in the box that you're talking about, opens up all of that stuff. And it just, like, to me, Ravens are the better team. And when you're the better team and you win on fundamentals, which all the things that we're talking about, making your tackles, not putting the ball on the ground, not turning it over, you're probably going to win.
Yeah, it's those simple things. And another simple thing to me is the Ravens have not really played on the road this year. They opened up in Buffalo. Buffalo did end up dropping 41 on their head. Then they went home game. In Kansas City, they dropped 37. Home game. This is the Ravens' 3rd road game of the year. We're in week 9. So I like coming out of the bye, being able to go quick win, short week against another team that's been struggling, although they are coming off of a 30-3 drumming of the Falcons. But to me, this game is, are you the Ravens that we know? Like, are the Ravens that they know? And they had some, cool speakers come in this week and talk about, smelling their own farts themselves. I know you loved that.
Eric Thomas. Well, you know why I love it? It unlocked a core memory that I don't remember having when they would play videos of that guy, Eric Thomas, motivational speaker, to I think my high school soccer, or maybe my high school lax team, and his line about how you gotta want to succeed as badly as you want to breathe. Imagine if you could, if you had to like labor to breathe. That's pretty heavy stuff there. If you want to succeed as badly as you want to breathe, I mean, that's what it's all about, man. And I liked what specifically he said to them this week, where you're talking about them, kind of reading their press clippings a little bit, smelling their own farts. Yeah, that's probably played a role in it, where it's like, and you and I talked about this, and I think you and I fell victim to this, where it's like, oh, you just take the regular season for granted. They're just going to steamroll their way through, and we'll just worry about this team when they get to the divisional round. Well, guess what? You're 2-5 now after that happened. And I think that
you're not the shit. You're not the man now, dog.
And like, I think they knew that, but to hear it articulated from a third party, that probably helps really frame things a lot. And then also the idea of, hey, you got a good opportunity in front of you. ET didn't throw it out there as like, you got a bad schedule in front of you, but I think everyone knows that. Everyone knows that's the case. They're going to be favored in a lot of these games. They're favored in this game by 7.5 points on the road. I mean, you just played 4 days ago, and that's the case. I think that's a pretty good
2-5 team favored on the road on a short week by 7.5 points.
Yeah, that's massive. Like that should tell you everything you need to know about what's right in front of you with this game specifically, and with a lot of these games coming up. You've got the Bengals coming in a few weeks. Joe Flacco dealing with an injury right now. Who knows what's going to happen there? You've got the Vikings. Carson Wentz now out for the year. You're going to be seeing JJ McCarthy in that game probably, who has struggled. So it's like, hey, it was a difficult schedule to start. I think we all knew that. I think I had them at 3-3 at this point, or would have been last week, whatever the math works out to. But guess what? It didn't work out. You're 2-5. Now you got this opportunity right here in front of you.
You certainly do. Vegas has this one at, what is it, like 29 to the over-under is 51.5. So they have like Ravens 29, Dolphins 22.5, whatever it is, whatever the math is there. So they see the Ravens offense having a big output. And I think this Dolphins defense is soft. I think they don't want to play physical football. I think the Ravens aren't terribly physical as opposed to some other teams. The Chiefs, man. The Chiefs' physicality against the Commanders was thick. The Chiefs are a physical fucking team, and you can feel it in the way they play defense and tackle, but also on the offensive side of the ball too, in the way they can convert in short yardage situations, things like that. The Chiefs aren't getting tush-push stalled out at the goal line, 3 times. Not happening. So I think getting back to that physicality, there's a putting soft defense ahead of you, that if you want to run the ball down their throat and you want to attack the A gap, or if you want to get out and attack their perimeter defenders, like, you can push them over and break their spirit. I see it on film. It's unfortunately been like the Mike McDaniel signature, as opposed to Brian Flores, who had those teams physical. Like, they are soft, they are fast, and this is a nice road building block for the Ravens in terms of physicality. To me, especially on the offensive side of the ball, you should be able to make these guys wilt. You should be able to break them. They don't look like they want to be there terribly. I think they had an inspired effort last week, but overall, I think I just want to see you continue to run the fucking football hard downhill, and I want to see this interior offensive line get better. I think the biggest thing for the Ravens right now is on both sides of the football, taking back the B gap to B gap. Like, that is what it is. You lose Matabike. Jones is getting doubled every play. Brent Urban's not supposed to be playing 40 snaps, 30 snaps. Broderick Washington's out. You got Taven Bryan in there. You got, the big nose tackle. Oh my God, his name's escaping me. John Jenkins in there, who he's giving you some good snaps, but you didn't intend him to be playing as much as he is. So again, I think it's on the offensive side of the ball, taking back the A gap against soft teams. I don't think the Bears are the most physical team on earth, especially down 3 defensive linemen. So you can fake yourself into being a tough guy. Like, you got to work yourself back up into being the tough guy between the B gaps. I think there's a perfect matchup for it. Ravens offense, the goal to go in the red zone was so much better last week, and you need to see that continue. Running the ball effectively, running power out of it, condensing in it. To me, it feels like they condense the formation in the middle of the field and invite pressure too often, and then not enough in the low red zone, where I want to talk about the Dolphins. They are the best red zone rushing or goal to go rushing team in football. They've converted 100% of their attempts. We'll talk about that on the other side of the ball, but let's reverse that logic. Let's spread the field out between the 20s and condense and run down their throat and create more space. Condensing is nice in the low red zone, the goal to go, because the boundary protects the defense. So when you line up wide, they can stay inside. When you condense, they can have Charlie Kohler in space where he started, slipped, and snuck out into a large patch of grass from a condensed formation. So I want to see them go power, continued in the red zone. I want to, Lamar can do things and run around and find windows and fire the ball, and that's awesome and that's great. But I think getting an identity back is important. I think we saw the Ravens get a little bit of their identity back, but they didn't have their quarterback. So Lamar has maybe been beaten up a little bit too much this season and wilted, and I don't blame him. Like, he has sustained multiple injuries. He got stepped on before the season. Ed Oliver hit him really hard, and then the hammy. So protect him, spread it out where there's not guys in his face and he can see coverage, see pressure, see things like that, have space to move himself, and then run it down their throat in the red zone. That's what I want to see. I think that should be the identity of this offense. Getting the fullback back in there, letting the tight ends block, letting Isaiah Likely get the football, right? Let him get the football in the flat. He's had the bye week. I know he's working through injury. Hopefully he's starting to feel a little bit more towards 100%, but want to see him get the football down in those areas. He breaks tackles. He leans forward. He has forward drive. He's a physical fucking player. So let those guys be physical. That's what I want to see.
Think about that stiff arm that he threw against the Steelers. I mean, he's just like a rumbling, stumbling bowling ball when he gets the ball in his hands, and he hangs on to it, as we saw in that Steelers game last year with the fumbling issues. But he's a guy I'd love to get involved when you talk about spreading the ball out, and especially down in the red zone. I'd love to see Rashad Bateman have a breakout game here. It feels like his involvement has been a little more limited than I would have liked, but you understand contextually why it's happened. Love seeing him make that huge catch coming out of the locker room last week. I'd love to see him get involved in the red zone. He had a lot of touchdowns last year. I think it was 7 or 8. And man, I just think about some of the opportunities where they really needed him, like the Dallas touchdown that he had on the road against the Cowboys. Think about that Steelers playoff game where you're in a 3rd and 12 and it looks like you may not score on your first or second possession there. 3rd and 12, you find Bateman in the back of the end zone, gets himself open. He's a guy that just is able to find space. And we talked about how they're kind of built incongruently in a way. It feels like they have these kind of smaller, quicker type finesse players a little bit when really they should be doing this power type of offense that you're talking about. But shit, if you got it, you might as well take advantage of it. So I love getting him involved. I love Likely getting the ball in his hands, like you mentioned. Just a little bit of a decrease of this, hey, let's just hit Zay Flowers at the line of scrimmage and hope he does something with the ball. It feels like they can afford now with Lamar to be back to be more creative than that. And I think that'll show in this one. It should be a lot of protecting the quarterback, running the ball well, getting the ball to the playmakers in your right spots. But when you do have the opportunity, scheming the right guy open.
Well said. I do want to see, the ball just gets spread out. Like, I think the biggest cure is a defense in the Dolphins who they're soft. They've got some physical players in the front. Sealer's not having the greatest year. They're just a little dejected overall. The Browns put up 31 on these guys. Chargers put up 29. Panthers put up 27. The Bills put up 30. The Patriots put up 30. The Colts put up 30. Like, I think the heel is like scoring a lot of fucking points and everybody touching the ball a little bit. And there doesn't need to be any one guy. Lamar is that guy, but Flowers. We mentioned all these guys. Flowers, Bateman, Hopkins. We got in the Keaton Mitchell, right? Keaton Mitchell comes back. And Keaton Mitchell, I love Keaton Mitchell's energy that he had after the kick return and after the running through, pumping the fans up, running through. Like, where is that? Where is the fucking passion, the celebration? I've said it a million times on this podcast, I think, but Bill Belichick, like, in his monotone, I'll always think back to the Bill Belichick clip in his monotone where he's saying, I want to see you guys get out there and celebrate. And what are you doing? Spikes gets a sack here. He's the only one celebrating. How hard do you guys work for this? How much practice went into that sack in the NFL? And you guys can't even give him a high five. Like, celebrate, fun, Lamar, primetime, Thursday night dancing. The Ravens are supposed to be the death team on a Thursday night home game for an opponent. They are supposed to be the team of death. Going to LA on Monday, any primetime. They're the primetime kids. Going to LA. all those years ago, the Jackson Five, like all those things. And the Lions,
San Francisco 2 years ago,
San Francisco on Christmas, Texans on Christmas. Like the Ravens, you don't want to fucking play on prime time in the regular season, but be that team again, spread the ball out, score the touchdowns, run it up. Like that, Vegas has you doing it. You've done it so many times before. You lost Matabike. The Lions came into the bank and snatched your chain, kicked you in the teeth, and were laughing, driving off. Like ran through your fucking face. So I will know so much about the state of who these Ravens have been versus what the rest of the season will be based on how they respond. They still are kind of coming off a short week or coming off a bye, I should say, coming off that rest, coming off the ability to game plan too, right? The bye before a game into a short week, that's awesome. That is a huge advantage. I don't know. The Dolphins have had their bye. They played the 26th, 19th, 12th, 5th, 20. I don't think so. No, Dolphins have not had their bye.
They have one more game in the equation than the Ravens do, so they have not.
Yeah. So the Dolphins, to me, like they had their big, jubilee in Atlanta, have to come back home and play this Ravens team. And PTSD, I mean, we usually do the history in these previews. I usually like to lead out with that. Last time the Ravens went there for Thursday night, I went to that game, and the Dolphins put them in the dirt. Brian Flores ran that beautiful umbrella pressure front that he's known for now and still runs with the Vikings, and it sent the Ravens into a tizzy and pissed off Lamar was there. And Zay Flowers, I know, was talking about like what it means like for all these Florida guys, and the Ravens have kind of prioritized giving Lamar people from his, area of South Florida, more or less within like that hour, that Fort Lauderdale, Miami, freaking Southeast Florida vibe. So you've got Isaiah Likely, you've got Zay Flowers, you've got Lamar, you got all these South Florida guys, and they haven't partied there yet in the end zone on the field. So I want to see them party, man. That is how I'll know this team is going to make the playoffs, if they are partying tomorrow in the end zone, doing what they're supposed to do.
And it looked like it on this past Sunday. It looked like a catharsis, like a true catharsis for them when Kohler scored that touchdown and they're all celebrating in the end zone. When Wiggins right before that had got the interception to set that up, they're all celebrating in the end zone together. It felt like a pretty joyous, occasion out there, even when it was a close game and things weren't totally tied up. You mentioned Keaton Mitchell with all the kind of theatrics, even when he's like going out of bounds when he probably shouldn't be. But like that stuff's great, man. Like get out there, fire him up. I think about Lamar on the sideline. He was as engaged as anybody. He looked happy to be out there, going over his play sheet, talking to Huntley, laughing and smiling, like just all good energy. Yeah, you want to see more of that. And for all the people that are like, oh, momentum, it's not real, whatever. It's like, if you believe, like that doesn't even feel scientifically sound to me. Like momentum and like making a big play that fires your blood pressure up, and like maybe that could have negative effects, but on the defensive side of the ball, I feel like it would have positive effects for you. So I don't know. Maybe there's some kind of scientific study that could be done that, or by people smarter than me, that could prove that momentum does have an effect. But I think it is real, and I think celebrating plays like that can jack you up and get the mo going.
Greg Camarillo, shout out to the winless Dolphins.
Yeah, fun season that was.
Unbelievable. So yeah, I want to see these guys have that back offensively. On the defensive side of the football, the Dolphins, like I said, so Sam Schwartzstein gave me some fun stuff. Number one, he gave me that, like I said, in power goal to go, the 3-yard line and closer, the Dolphins have not thrown the ball from inside the 3-yard line this season, and they've also converted 100% of the time from inside the 3. So they're going to score when they get down there. I would love to see the Ravens make a stand like they did. Jake Hummel made that amazing play and goal to go against the Bears, having some pride at the end of that game, which I talked about in the instant analysis. That was awesome. The interesting thing he had told me was that Devon Achane, so he's kind of like contesting the way that expected rushing yards work. And expected rushing yards is really a result of the offense, right? And let's say for the Ravens, like he was talking about expected rush yards for Henry on and off the field for Lamar. It plummets. When Lamar's off the field, the expected rushing yards go down. He said that Henry, for example, was like exactly middle of the pack in percentage of runs that were expected to gain at least 5 yards, which is a quality run block, basically, or a quality run setup. He said that Henry on those runs averages 9.7 yards, which is 2 yards more than anyone in the NFL. So his point to the Ravens was, They don't block it up well enough, often enough, but when they do, he's the best. If you block it up for him, he'll murder you. He was like, he will house it if you block it up for him, which we know. I think we know that. So to me, it was like, Henry's not washed. That's what that tells me. This is more of an evaluation on the running back than anything else. You can isolate the numbers, look at the offensive line. He said the Dolphins have the highest percent of run plays expected to gain 5 or more yards in the league. But he said Devon Achane is one of the worst in the NFL at gaining 5 yards on runs that were expected to get 5 yards and gaining 5 yards on runs that weren't expected to get 5 yards. Or excuse me, it was average when expected to gain 5 yards. And when it's not, he almost never gains 5 yards. If it's not supposed to gain based on what they map out. So if it's not there, he's not getting it. He's not like his vision isn't great and he's not creative or creating, I should say, when it's not there. So you want to see the Dolphins push the ball downfield is what I'm going to get at eventually. Like he brought up an interesting subject. Like, Jake, who would you say when you think of Ravens defense, who's the best defender of screens on the Ravens defense? Like
right
who
now.
blows up screens? Just over, right now, overall, over the last couple years. I'd
probably say Roquan or Hamilton.
I'd say definitely Hamilton. Yeah. I would say definitely Kyle Hamilton. He runs the alley, blows him up. You don't, what do we always say? Don't throw screens to his side. What are you doing when he's playing safety? Don't throw screens to his side. He's running the alley. He's blowing up. He's taking somebody's face off. However, he's not playing safety, right? He's playing nickel. He's in the box. He's playing linebacker. So who's my bitch? What we always say. I'm looking at throwing screens. If I can get Nate Wiggins and Roquan on the same side of the field and Hamilton's weak side, if I can get that, I'm throwing a screen over there. Wiggins blew up that one screen or had that big hit. Made one big hit, forearm's hurt. He's out for the game, injured. So since then, I have seen, and I'm not blaming him, play within yourself, right? The Ravens need Nate Wiggins. I think it's easy to say that. He's not trying to blow up screens right now. He's trying to a little bit control his blocker. He's kind of dancing with him. And that's my bitch. I'm throwing screens at Nate Wiggins. The Dolphins love their screens. They love the misdirection. Roquan is still so smart. He played physical in this game. I think the Bears didn't really make him run, but I'm trying to make him run. And he blew up a screen against the Browns. He's had some highs, some lows. We talked about the James Cook in space. To me, that's how within what the Dolphins do, the matchup they want. They want to get the ball out quickly on the perimeter to their fast guys, to Washington. Who do they have? Washington, Parker, Achane, and Waddle, obviously. Waddle, I don't think really gets involved in that as much, especially now that Tyreek Hill's out. It feels like he runs the dig. He runs the inbreaker. He's going to be running through the middle, trying to see if he can speed through a soft spot. So it's Achane, it's Malik Washington, and whatever other little speedsters they got. I'll look at their depth chart in a second. But that to me is the matchup there. The majority of their rushing yards come on the perimeter also. And Achane's obviously most dangerous on the perimeter. So it's when you don't have to respect the boot like you did against Caleb Williams, and we saw him tear them up a little bit. Mike Green, to me, is a player that I want to see get active in the screen game. I want to see his eyes. I want to see him process the field. I want to see him start to pick up. And the Ravens are going to drop guys in coverage. They're going to sim pressure. They're going to which sim pressure, you said, what is that? You overload one side with 3 or 4 blitzers. You don't send 5. You're sending 4 when you sim pressure. That's why it's simulating pressure. It feels like there's pressure because you overload one side, dictate the pressure, and you're going to drop a first-level defender, a defensive lineman, outside linebacker, off on the other side. So it'll be 3 rushing one side, overloading, and 1, 0, maybe 2 if you're sending 5 and it's kind of actually a blitz. So that is the interesting thing to me. On third down, Tua actually is 4th highest air yards past the sticks in the league. In other words, he throws the ball 4th furthest past the first down marker on third down, despite him not, having a strong arm and stuff. On third down, he's trying to get the ball past the sticks because teams are playing them up and they like to get the ball and know how they are. So I think there's some soft spots, things like that. Tua leads the league in interceptions with 10. The Ravens, I think, are last with 2. Nate Wiggins has both of those picks. Can somebody else get their hands on a football? Can somebody else jump something? This Dolphins offense is going to try to push the ball on third down. This Dolphins offense can't kill you deep unless you blow coverage and the safeties get tasty. But can somebody else make a play on the football? Nate Wiggins made a great play. Where Marlon had so many picks last year, had big plays. Let's see what Malachi Starks can do. Let's see, can Trenton Simpson, who plays on third down, gets involved in coverage, can he make a play? I like a lot. I know that they're different roles, and I don't hate having different roles. I like what I'm seeing from Trenton Simpson a lot more than I'm seeing from Teddy Buchanan. Teddy's nice when he's unblocked. I don't think he's alert, alive, awake yet. He's a rookie. I think Simpson, I can tell he's fucking processing what's in front of him and getting himself in the way. So
be careful with the Teddy Buchanan slander, by the way.
Be careful. His dad's out here somewhere. I also saw Jay Higgins' dad was wearing a yellow mustard top hat and suit at the Ravens game. He was awesome.
Roy Higgins, he needs to be a legend of the game this season, in my opinion.
Legend of the game. Yeah, I would like that. So, yeah, I know we had a lot of questions in here about some things, but defensively, like, they're limited. They're limited offense. They can get you. They can run the ball decently well. I haven't checked their injury report. Let's see if we can find that one. The Ravens have a clean bill of health, as we said, and the Dolphins have, let's see here. Bradley Chubb is questionable, limited, questionable. Ashton Davis, the safety, did not practice. Doubtful, that means he's out. Questionable from Jason Marshall Jr. He had 3 full practices with a hammy. You never know. And then safety Ifedo Melifonwu, limited, full, questionable as well. So we'll see. They're not missing a ton of guys. Minka Fitzpatrick healthy there. So I think the Dolphins have a decently full stable. They obviously lost Tyreek Hill. Ravens have lost Matabike. So high there when you're looking at those. Overall, like, somebody would get their hands on the football. Tua doesn't have a great offensive line. He does get the ball out quick, but take the ball out of his hands, man. Rip the ball out of his hands. Mike Green. Can somebody else make a play rushing the passer? Van Noy, sure. But, like, can one of these outside, like David Ajabo, somebody fucking win quick and get the ball out of Tua's hands? It's easy to take him down. It's easy to make him fumble. It's easy to run him down in space. So you've got an immobile quarterback. You've got a team that likes to run a lot of screens. On third down, they'll push the ball a little bit because you make them, and they run the ball all right. So to me, like, not a dangerous offense to face, and short week, and your season's before you. And can you build momentum? Like, can you understand what worked last week and continue to adjust? Can you game plan specifically for an opponent that operates a little differently, right? Caleb Williams torches man coverage, moves out of the pocket a lot, runs. They have a power run game that works well, like a little bit different, a little bit more balanced pass catching set. So on the road, in a place where the last time you went there, you got whipped. On the offensive side of the ball, defensively, you stood kind of strong. Can you go dominate, look like the Baltimore Ravens? Those are the questions I have. And it's Spenny playoffs. That's my name. I'm going to keep it that way, because what game's not a playoff game moving forward? Like, you can lose 2. You can lose 2 games moving forward.
I'm with you. Yeah. I guess that's about it. Unless you got anything else, you ready to get into predickies?
Let's do predickies, my friend. Man, I just Lamar got the ping pong tables out. Like, where are you supposed to have fun? Like, that's what I'm getting at. Like, I like the seriousness. I like that it was Lamar. I like whoever it was. I liked it. Like, something's got to fucking change. Take yourself seriously. Shit's not sweet, and you didn't do what you were supposed to. Party on the field. Have fun on the field. Dance on the field. Make plays on the field. Be confident on the field. Score. I think the Ravens score 4 or 5 touchdowns in this game. I think that the Dolphins had their kind of big resistance against the Falcons a little bit in Atlanta. I think they come back. It's Halloween. It's a short week. They know they're not going to the playoffs. I don't think they've got much going on there. I think the Ravens are putting up 35, 36 in this game. I could see the Dolphins. Like, the explosiveness in the pass game hasn't been there, but I think that comes back. And I think you figured out defensively enough how to stop the run, at least, so that teams aren't sustaining 17-minute drives like the Lions did on you. And these aren't the Lions. So I think the Dolphins score 1 touchdown, 2 touchdown, kick 1-2 field goal. I'll call it 2 touchdowns and a field goal, 17. I think the Ravens win 35-17, 35-13, somewhere like that. I want to see the partying in Miami on Halloween. I want to see a dance. I want to see Zay Flowers and Isaiah Likely doing some sort of, they've done the Christmas dances. Let's see the Halloween dance. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I think happens this game. I think Zay Flowers in this game has 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'm going to take him for 2 touchdowns tomorrow. I'm going to take him for 100, 110, 125, 130, 140, 150 yard receiving ladder. I think that he has a long touchdown in this game. I think the Ravens are ready to break through. And I think Lamar understands how to get him the ball in the move and space downfield. And I think he can outrun all those Dolphins defenders. He did that last time they played Miami. And I don't think this defense has changed much. And he's from there. So I'm doing a Zay Flowers play tomorrow. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, maybe a little Lamar Jack Skellington. Get into a full choreographed.
Lamar Jackson Lantern.
What's this? What's this? There's white flakes in the air. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, I'm right on the same page with you. I had Ravens 28-17 in this one. I think they find a groove offensively early. They ride it out, score 4 touchdowns. I think the Dolphins able to move the ball a little bit. They'll probably hit a few explosives, but overall, it's just going to be, I think, a little overmatched for Ravens defense. It's coming into form a little bit. I'm not going to fully buy them as a Super Bowl defense, maybe for the rest of the season, especially with the loss of Matabike. But I think against an offense like this, maybe you get some similar happenstance to what we saw against Chicago, where as great as it was to see that late turnover that we've been asking for all season and haven't gotten, I think what really encouraged me was as much as I kind of laugh about it, the bend but don't break stuff, where it felt like the Bears were rolling early. They had a couple of nice drives, but they stalled out with field goals both times. I think that's encouraging to me. I think we could see some more of that from the Ravens defense. They'll maybe get got a few times, but they're not going to play as scared. They're not going to play as conservative, and I think it'll be to their benefit. So yeah, Ravens 28, Dolphins 17 in this one.
Dolphins do have Storm Duck playing corner here, Mark says in the comments. All-time sick name. One thing we didn't talk about, trade deadline briefly. I thought the Ravens would have, well, I guess they did sign Carl Lawson, who we didn't mention in this game, and we'll see. Who knows? Who knows what kind of juice they can get out of him in their system on third down. I think that's what they need him for. Definitely. He's not really an impact run defender. He's a DPR. He's like OA. He's not giving you impact against the run, and he should be able to get a couple of sacks for you. So I thought, for a second, I thought I was wrong, but they did at least get him. I thought they would have maybe traded for a player by now, like a conditional 7th or like a 7th swap for some loose end in the outside linebacker room. I think that they're sitting on being 3-5 and it being reality. If I will say this, if Quinnen Williams is moved and it's less than like, I can get not maybe wanting to do a 1st and a 2nd. I can get that. But if it's like a 1st and a 4th or a 2nd and a 3rd, if it's not a 1st round pick and another team makes that move, I know there's 32 teams in the NFL and the one who always says it, but I can't see there being a better move that you could make for a player who's possibly available. I know the Jets have pretty much put out there, nobody's given us the right offer yet. Ooh, all the reports are, it's not, if it's a really good deal, they'll take it. I know there was a report that it was a 2nd. If it's a single 1st round pick, you have to have a core talented 4-down defensive lineman. You have to next year. So get him. That move has to be made if it's made. If they don't trade him, that's fine. I have nothing bad to say. If Quinnen Williams is traded to the fucking Cowboys or whoever other names are, whatever other teams are associated for a 2nd and a 4th or whatever, offer 2 seconds. Who cares? Ideally you're picking 56. It's not like you're picking 35. Get rid of those 2nd round picks. He needs to pull the trigger, and Eric DeCosta needs to pull the trigger. Quinnen Williams is in his prime. Quinnen Williams is a pedigree. It doesn't get better. He's a 5-star, played at Bama. You know how that tickles me, Jake. He's 27 years old. He's turning 28. He will give you 3 good years of football, and you need it. To win a Super Bowl, you have to have it. And sure, you can go into free agency. Sure, you can do it after the year. Sure. If it's a 1st round pick and it's a single 1st round pick and they don't make that move, I don't get it. I will criticize it. If they make another move if that's an A to me, that is an A move. If they make another move that's a B and it's another 3-tech that can play, that's fine. I'm looking at Dre Jones from the Titans as someone they could get. Jermaine Johnson from the Jets. I'm looking at Jalen Phillips. I'm looking at Bradley Chubb. I'm looking at these guys. I'm sure the Dolphins would be pleased to move Jalen Phillips, who's in a contract year. A good player. And
Calais Campbell getting bandied about a little bit in relation to the Ravens too, along with Kevin Zeitler currently on the Titans, which Could plug some holes. I mean,
the Zeitler thing to me is like, that's fine. I don't think they care. I think they like Falele and they like Emory Jones, and I don't think they care. Make it, sure. I don't know that they would want to trade a pick for it, which, maybe that's stupid. I don't know. I just don't see that one happening. Calais Campbell, I think, signed in Arizona so that he could finish his career where it started. I don't think they would have to trade for him. I think if he wants to go in the Ravens, I think the Cardinals would release him. And he's a vested vet. He doesn't have to go through waivers. So I think a good point here from Kwame B in the comments. He said Eric hated giving up the second for Roquan. He complained all offseason. He did. He made all those. Well, our second round pick was Roquan. Oh, he did talk about that way too much. And why did they have to trade for Roquan? Because they fucking couldn't figure it out at linebacker. And you haven't figured it out on your defensive line now. And you drafted, like, this is why it doesn't make sense. Matabike was a third-round pick. Matabike wasn't Matabike as a rookie. He was a promising rookie that flashed a lot and looked really good, and they were happy with it. It took 3 years for him to turn into $100 million Nnamdi Matabike. So the rookie third-round pick or second-round pick is not going to be Quinnen Williams. It's not going to be Matabike. And I'm sorry, you're screwed there. You got to overspend in terms of money plus draft capital. You have to. I know it's not Madden. I know there's 32 teams. I know that you can't be the one to make every move, but that to me is the one that is being floated through the media where if you don't do it, you fucked up.
Who's the veteran player on their team right now that is not producing a ton, but is making big plays late in games and back in 2019 was available on the trade block and another team got them. And at the time, everyone was like, oh, wow, that would have made perfect sense for the Ravens, who have never in the history of their franchise figured this position out. He was right there to go get. They didn't go get him. He toiled away on a few bad teams, played for the Chiefs. Now he's here late in his career. He's making big plays late in games. Limited snap count, I get it, but he was a perfect fit. Who is that player? DeAndre Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins.
That was right there to make. You didn't make it. And in my opinion, that probably cost you. I don't know if it cost you a Super Bowl, but that was the perfect one to make. And it probably would have cost you a first round pick, would have been tough. But guess what? You were less cap constrained then and you didn't do it. And here's one that's staring you in the face, whether it is Quinnen Williams or I don't think Jeffrey Simmons is going to be available, but one of these guys that could really push you over the top. The Ravens have been one of these, of all these powerhouse teams that have made their way to the Super Bowl. The Ravens are kind of in that group, but they've never been to a Super Bowl. Coincidentally, perhaps they've never done something like this either. So maybe it's time to rethink things a little bit.
Mike Pennell was released. I like that move, bringing in another nose. I love Brent Urban. He is a good role player. He batted a pass at the end of that game to prevent a touchdown. He got his paw on it. He's a nice player. Like, he can't be playing all game. He can't be playing all game on a Super Bowl team. He can't rush the passer. He can't. And they don't have any interior pass rush. You are playing with your hands tied behind your back. To me, if any big name interior defensive lineman is moved and it wasn't even a first round pick, you're punting on this season. I'll say that. Like, straight up. Daron Payne, judge here. The judge says Daron Payne down 995. Give a call. Yeah, the Commanders are certainly not reaping right now. They are certainly sowing. Jaden Daniels in and out of the lineup. Their defense looks like shit. Daron Payne, go get one of these Bama boys, man. Look, give me a fucking Bama interior defensive lineman to fix this. That's what's needed. You got to get somebody from Bama to come in here, rush the passer, stand up to double teams. Pennell signed with the Chiefs already. Shocker. Goes back to where he won a Super Bowl. So makes sense there. Having the comments here, but
a new iteration of that tweet, by the way, I was tickled by this morning. LMAO, living by the sword is so dope. I hope this lifestyle doesn't have any consequences for me later on.
They don't know they got to die. They don't know they got to die by the sword yet. So Christian Wilkins, Clemson. No, don't need any Clemson defensive. Brian Brzee. I'd take Brian Brzee from the Saints. They're in that market. That might cost you a little pretty penny. He's a nice player, but too young. I mean, too young still. for me. Chase Young also has been fucking tearing it up this year. I know the Ravens liked him, and the Ravens smell their own farts more than anyone in the NFL. And if they had their eyes on him, I know we know, Jake, they didn't like his medicals a couple years ago, but he's been tearing the club up. He was going nuts this past weekend, absolutely crushing Tristan Wirfs. Had some really good reps against him, and that wouldn't surprise me. I think you need a big 6'5", 270 type outside linebacker type that can rush the passer for you and play the run.
And if there's a team that's in fire sale mode, like some of these teams are not going to be willing to sell. You're talking about a team that's about to put Tyler Shuck out there. So like that should be doable.
Sugar Shug might go off in about a month. Who knows? I think he stinks, but we'll see. When everybody thinks somebody stinks, they usually pop off at least for a little bit. We'll see. Arden Key, sure. Yeah. There's all the outside linebackers. There's a lot of interchangeable to me outside linebackers. There's Jermaine Johnson, who you know that I loved in the draft process. Thibodeau, who knows what's going on? The Giants are dysfunctional. I have no idea what to say. There's a lot of these like bigger name guys that were big prospects that are good players. Chase Young, Jermaine Johnson, a lot of these, Jalen Phillips, right? A lot of those guys. Mark says Chase Young is having a clowny career arc to the letter. Great call there. Yes, I love that. Great rookie season, high impact when he first got on the field, injuries, faded out, changed teams. Yeah, that's a good call. So there's a lot of the big name where the name and the coolness of the player, like the appeal to like the cool factor, it might be a little better than the play. I would put Kayvon Thibodeau in that category. It's a cool player. It's a good player. He's not a great player. All those. Give me one of them, which if you want to be cheap there, sure. Whichever one's cheapest there. Dre Jones on the Titans is another one I keep talking about. I think that's who they end up with. I don't know why. He's had a sack in each of the last 3 weeks. But give me one of them and give me the biggest or second biggest, like talented defensive lineman in this trade deadline and win this game. AFC North could be yours very reasonably. You just got to beat the Steelers more or less twice probably to really get it. And to me, that's how Super Bowl is back on. Playoffs, I think the playoffs are back on. Looking at the schedule, 6-6 to me feels bad. Like 6-6 is like, they dropped one to one of these teams. They dropped one to either Miami, the Browns, the Bengals, or the Jets, right? So then they would play the Steelers at 6-6. So win these games. Who knows? Flacco to Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase has 43 targets in the last 2 games. He has 29 receptions off of 43 targets. Joe Flacco is just fucking feeding Jamar Chase. Unbelievable.
Ozzy, I love you, but you got to look at that and be like, wow, what the fuck? What was I doing all those years?
That's such a good point.
Like
Such a good point.
The guy is
away from Flacco. They took Bolden away. They let Torrey Smith go. They chose Pitta. He breaks his hip. They choose the fucking tight end.
Brutal.
Flacco they gave him Steve Smith then, who was old, and he popped off.
He was still great. Like, man, we really didn't have to overthink that one, and we did. Hey, lesson for Eric DaCosta.
I think he learned it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's invested more in 5 years than Ozzy did in 25 years. So,
but the writ large conversation about making the big move. Don't be scared. You got to succeed as badly as you want to.
Is there some pride? Is there pride that they've never traded a first round pick? Is that what it is? Because you can go look at the Rams, man. Go look at a couple. Like it has propelled teams. These moves propel teams. Is Quinnen Williams going to win you a Super Bowl? Like I could easily say no, but he's helping a lot. That would be a big help. And it's not that you're not getting Quinnen Williams. It's you're down Matabike and you've got to replace him. And I guess you can argue, like, I don't know the dead cap situation with Matabike. Hypothetically, let's say it is career ending. They probably still owe him a good bit of money. Can you spread it out to other years? Probably. Ashley Blosser here says Flacco is in heaven eating alone and throwing to Chase. Just sipping, eating that Caesar salad and the steak Caesar salad with some fries, having a tall 22-ounce beer draft, and then throwing
like a
40
CEO. He's like a CEO in the mid 80s, just like ready for his golden parachute to hit. He's, coming to the office one day a week, just dining out on the company card, playing golf. And he knows he's going to get his payday, and he doesn't know that it's going to come before the Black Tuesday or whatever that was in 1988. What a time to be Joe Flacco.
What a time. So I think all those things are big considerations. And Zay Flowers, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. At least a long touchdown. I'm going to bet him on ESPN Bet to have like a 45-plus yard reception and a touchdown. I think him and Lamar want to party real bad in Miami right now. I think they just want to fucking party on the field.
Yeah. Break out those bedazzled shirts and the what's that hat that they used to wear? I don't know. I'm boxing that, but go have yourself a nice Miami Thursday night. I'm sure it's gonna be
here. I'll go fast facts. Here's facts off of Steen's hit list. Here's what he thought was interesting about the Ravens. Lamar, best quarterback in the NFL and throws 10-plus air yards, 1.13 EPA per play. Best over the middle, 12 to 16 yards. 6 out of 7 touchdowns have been outside the numbers. Downfield target on third down is Zay Flowers 25% of the time, and in the seams 50% of the time on those third downs. Jackson dumps it off to backs on third down, the most in the NFL, which is a far cry from what he was 5 years ago. Justice Hill has 31% of third down targets weeks 1 to 3. Alternatively, Lamar Jackson scrambles the 4th most on third down, 22%. So he's pretty much throwing it to Zay Flowers. Justice Hill are scrambling over 60% of the time on those first 3 games he played in. Third down scrambles, 22%. Scramble run, 12.5%. The league average is 6.8%. The Ravens have struggled in the red zone, 35% success rate, worst in the NFL. Their plan is to find a man matchup for Mark Andrews, 33% target share versus man, 14% versus zone. 3 of his 4 targets came against DBs. He's going to talk about Mark Andrews there. The Ravens are committed to the ground in the red zone. They have the 4th highest run rate, 56% in the red zone. They run outside 3rd most in the red zone, 68%. They have a quarterback fake on all runs, even under center plays. 4th highest percent of quarterback designed runs as well. The Ravens have struggled on 4th down defensively. They've struggled on 4th down overall. They have lost the most win probability this season of any team on 4th down. They are particularly bad in short yardage, 2 or fewer yards on 4th down, with a conversion probability of 33%. They pass 83% of the time on 4th and short. The league average is 43%. So the Ravens have been horrible. Bad play calling on 4th and short. Lamar Jackson has completed a league-high 91.7% of his pass attempts featuring play action this season and averaged 14 yards per attempt, most in the NFL. He is averaging 14.8 yards per attempt simply on play action. He has the highest completion percentage in the NFL, 91.7, first in the NFL in yards per attempt. Derrick Henry has averaged 5.9 yards per carry with Lamar Jackson on the field this season. Without, he has averaged 3.7 yards per carry. The running threat at quarterback removes a defender from keying on Henry. So there's some stuff for you. He's got more. Go tune into Prime Vision. There are some fast facts via Sam Schwartzstein of Amazon Prime Vision.
And if we were brought down at all by youth pastor John and his kind of just having no answers for anything attitudinally, emotionally, energy-wise, I was brought back up, and I'd be remiss if we did not mention Todd Monken walking into the stadium on this past Sunday. The clips that came out of him walking up to Trippy, who had like the meta glasses on or whatever, something to the effect of a lot of motherfuckers talking shit. Let's fucking go. Basically just big daps, all around. Daps after the game. The guy was feeling himself. He was not too thrilled about what was being reported in the media, and he responded not only on the field, but with the just the absolute spitfire that you want to see when you're in this situation. Todd Monken is my badass motherfucker of the week, and I hope that continues coming into this Thursday night.
There you go. Be a badass motherfucker. Have fun. Party in Miami. If you're going down to the game, have fun. It's a cool stadium. I went down there last time they played on Thursday night. It was a good time. So be safe out there. Hopefully the Ravens get spooky on the Dolphins. We're thinking the Ravens score some points in this one on a soft Dolphins defense. Maybe they take Jalen Phillips home with them, something like that. So I expect a move. I expect a win after a win, and I expect the Ravens to get into this stretch, their upcoming opponents, The Vikings in Minnesota, they have a lot of time to prepare for a rookie quarterback who will be playing in that one. Doesn't seem like Kevin O'Connell's thrilled with where J.J. McCarthy is right now. He was a healthy, just backup. They liked Wentz better. And
Soft benching.
Wentz had a broken shoulder, and they liked him more than J.J. McCarthy. So
Herb
not
Street.
great there. Not great there. I think the Vikings are going to have Mendoza out of Indiana. That's my prediction. I think Kevin O'Connell gets his paws on that kid next. I think they Josh Rosen, J.J. McCarthy, and go grab Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana. I think that will be his prince. So have that one coming up next. Rookie quarterback. Guess what? You got another rookie quarterback after that in Dylan Gabriel and the Fighting Cleveland Browns. So
maybe.
Could be Shedeur in the Shedeur revenge game where it was actually that he just didn't want to play for the Ravens.
That'd be a revenge game for the Ravens.
Would Shedeur have beaten the Bears?
Probably, yeah.
You think so?
Maybe. I don't know. It depends. Like, I haven't seen enough.
I've always liked Shedeur. I've been following
him too. I comped him to Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton could have beaten that Bears team.
Andy D. All right. Well, monkey business. We've been monkeying around here for an hour 16. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, tell somebody you love them, all that good stuff. Happy Halloween to you.
We gotta bring costumes for tomorrow night if they win, at least.
Okay. Yeah. We can do that. We can do costumes on the post game.
Everyone bring your costume ideas in the comments too. Very excited.
Let us know on Twitter what Jake and I should wear. What we should do.
Indeed. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. Like he said, subscribe on YouTube if you're not already. Like the video, comment on it, get the algorithm pumping for us. Follow us on social media at Exit52 Podcast on X, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. On X, I am at Jake Louque. That's Louque. Spenny at Ravens 4 Dummies. That is the number 4 in the middle there. Brian at Barstool Banks. Taylor at Taylor Smite 10. Eric at EDITTI 22. Talk to you guys tomorrow night. Until then, have a good one.
See you.
Arrivederci.